Thanks, guys, for tuning in. This is Always Acting Up. I am Caslin Rose. This is the podcast where I'm going to share all of my personal stories and journeys as an actress in the entertainment industry. In this episode, we are going to talk about focus. But first, I do want to give a quick shout out to everyone who is following along on the podcast, all you guys watching on the YouTube, people reaching out on Instagram with all cool, fun questions. I will definitely get to those throughout the podcast. And of course, I do want to give a shout out to my producer, the one and only Hassani Johnson. I think everyone needs a little uplifting sometimes. A little round of applause, pat on the back, never hurt. Okay, so like I mentioned before, this is the podcast episode where we are going to talk about focus. And that is my struggle for sure for a long time now. So we're going to talk about the things you can do to sort of help, as well as what is focus. So what is focus? According to the actual dictionary, focus is the center of interest or activity. It is the state or quality of having or producing clear visual definition. That is clear. One thing, clear. And I know that something that I was struggling with for the long time because I have the focus and attention span of a 5-year-old. It's true. Like, I cannot even tell a story from start to finish without going off on a tangent or mentioning random information. But that's just me. And you know what? I have a lot of friends who are like that too, so perhaps it's just my circle because we tell stories and then we go off into another story and then all of a sudden we're like 10 stories down and then I'm like, wait, but whatever happened to story number 1? Like what happened with that? So that could just be me. That's something that I'm working on is my storytelling, especially as an actress. It's kind of important. What I was saying is, you know, when you talk to a young kid and you're like, oh my God, huh, you're so cute. What do you want to be when you grow up? And they say, well, I want to be a teacher, an astronaut, president. They want to be all of these different things. Well, apparently I grew up like that. And besides the fact that I wanted to be, obviously, a gymnast my whole life, I wanted to do everything. And I guess nobody really told me, like, hey, maybe you should stop and focus on one thing, because I found that I spent my early 20s kind of wasting a little bit of time because I wanted to be in Cirque du Soleil. Obviously, gymnastics. And then going into Cirque was a normal, suitable transition that makes a little bit of sense. I also wanted to be a backup dancer. I wanted to dance for like Britney Spears. I wanted to be on TRL. Y'all, TRL was like the thing for me. I would watch that all the time. Like I would come home from high school and that'd be the very first thing. I'd be Carson Daly, his top 10. I could probably predict the top 10. And of course, that's where I started watching all these music videos with dance. So obvi, that makes sense. And then also, I was gonna be an actress. And the crazy thing is with all of these things that I wanted to do, I thought, honestly, I thought that I was going to be able to accomplish all these by the time I was like 25. True story. I guess I just never really realized how much work you need to put into one thing to really make 100% of an effort. Like I thought, let's just talk about Cirque for an example. I thought that I would have like 12 years of experience as a gymnast. And I think I had mentioned before, but I was super highly competitive. Like I was level 10 going elite. I probably could have gone elite. For those who don't really know, you go through all these levels and then you have to test into elite. And that's when you start doing the big competitions like nationals or I guess what you would see on TV, the Olympics or Worlds. So I was just getting to that level. And I was thinking, well, like I have the skill set, like you can always train me. But the thing was, I quit when I was 13, 14 years old. And then, you know, your body develops differently. So the possibility and the chances of me losing a lot of that strength was very high. Like I would kind of go to the gym, 24-hour fitness gym, and I thought that that was going to be enough. Like I had a really hard workout, but it just wasn't that specific type of training that I needed to go and be a cirque performer. And it's not that you just, hey, I want to be in cirque. You have to do training camps. You have to be invited to the audition most of the time, which I was. Woo woo. 2 times I was invited to the audition. And what happened for me is that Cirque du Soleil, Cirque Lemaire, Cirque, what's another Cirque show? I don't know. Any type of circus show that there was, they would always have a rope climb aspect of the audition. And I would get cut every single time on the damn rope climb. And it's not just, okay, climb the rope, because yes, I can climb a rope, but you have to climb this rope with your legs straight out in front of you in a split and with no legs. So hands only, you have to be in a split in like a pike position. And I would get cut every single time. To my defense, I would like to say that it's because of my butt. My butt was just too big. I couldn't get the rest of my body to pull myself up. But honestly, like had I probably put a little bit more effort into training and strength training, I probably would have got in. Not trying to toot my own horn, but I'm pretty flexible and I'm really quick at learning new skills. So I probably could have gotten in had I just focused and put the effort into training. But the problem was during the time, and this is just an excuse in my mind, is I was going to school at the time. I was going to a community college, and not only was I going to school, but I had to work. So by the time I went to school and then I went to work, I was so tired that I guess I couldn't find the real motivation to train or to make myself even tired. And I think that I prioritized things wrong because I should have been tired from my training, not from work. And then as a dancer, I did go to school for dance. Went to a community college, which I'm sort of on the fence with. Here's what I think about school. I think that school, luckily, is always going to be there. School's not going anywhere. Education is never going to lose its, what's the word? It's never going to lose its appeal, I guess is the word you're trying to say. It's always going to be there. It's always going to be important. And so I think that you should focus on what you want to do first. So for me, going to school was a great idea. Like I got my degree in dance, and luckily for me, the community college that I went to was in LA, and it did have a dance program. And a lot of the teachers that were teaching at the school, they were professional dancers. So it wasn't like we had some mediocre classes. Like these were really great, top-notch teachers. And luckily for me, like I never had that much training as a dancer growing up. So for me, it was a great place to take dance classes for, the one-time tuition fee as opposed to paying for classes every single day for every different class. Do I think a dance degree was what I should have gotten my degree in? No, but I have it and it's there. And yes, if I ever did want to go back and get a 4-year degree, half of my credits are there already. So I'm already ahead of the game. Just don't feel like I ever put in the effort of training at the right studios. Perhaps it's just another issue of prioritizing. Like I guess I could have changed things up a little bit, prioritized it a little bit more. I didn't think that I wasn't working hard enough because I thought that I was. But now that I think about it, I could have done a little bit more to constantly be training, constantly be meeting, constantly be networking. And so while I was dancing, I was starting to do short films and things on the side. Like I always knew, like, this is crazy. Dance for me was the number one. And as a backup, I was going to be an actress. That's right. I thought being an actress was a great backup. I know. I was really focusing on those two things at the same time when I should have really just been focusing on dancing. And doing all of this, I really thought that I was going to accomplish it in like less than a decade. Like I thought that I was going to graduate, get in Cirque du Soleil right off the bat, do that for a couple years. And then once I retired from Cirque, I thought that I was going to audition for a little while, train, go on tour with Britney Spears, come back, take a break. And then I thought that in my little crazy mind that I was going to start acting. Potentially, I would have met somebody on tour, obviously, and that person would have helped me get on a TV show. Like, I really thought this was possible. But let me tell you guys, it's just not. It's really not possible. And I was spreading myself so thin that I really just could not focus and be great at something. Like, I was a Jill of all trades, master of nothing. It kind of hurts, but it's true. And I remember the first time someone ever said that to me, I was actually offended because I was good at a lot of different things, but I wasn't great at any of them. And that idea had never dawned on me before, that yeah, like you're okay, but why should we pick you over somebody who is great at something? If I'm going to be a great actress, I believe I will have more opportunities that will come to me that will then allow me to do more things. Like, I want to produce a TV show. I want to sort of expand myself as an artist. And I think that being great and having another better platform will allow that, as opposed to all trying to do it at once. That was awesome. Obviously, I love music, so I'm sitting here dancing. You guys just can't see it, but I'm sure you can imagine it in your mind. So yeah, I want to get back into that. Making the decision to really focus on one thing. I personally, I don't know if lucky is the word, but I happened to get injured. And so the decision was made for me. I realized that with my back injury that day when I woke up and I couldn't roll over without literally just being in so much pain, I had tears rolling down my face. I could not roll over from my back to my stomach. I could not do it. And that for me made me go, wow, like I can't remember, 20 something, and I'm having this much pain now. What if I were to really train and hurt myself again and end up being permanently injured and not being able to walk for the rest of my life? That scared the poop out of me. Obviously, that was probably a little bit exaggerated. That probably wasn't the situation, but it kind of made me turn my focus into acting. And at the time, I wasn't so mad about it. It did flip my world upside down. Like, I had to move, I had to relocate, I had to sort of change everything. So perhaps for me, it was a blessing in disguise. I also think you have to ask yourself, how much do you really want it? Because if you think about it, if you really want something, you are going to do everything and anything to make it happen. Anything's possible. You're going to reach out to people. You're going to do volunteer. You're going to research. You're going to be doing it all the time. And that was something I had to ask myself. Yeah, I wanted it. It would be really cool. It was kind of a goal of mine as a kid, like to be in CIRQUE. And that's something I just always wanted. But I really had to ask myself, girl, look, if you really wanted it, you would have put in everything, not like 65% of effort. You would have put in 150% to get that done. And I guess that answered the question for me. The good thing is, in my mind, I still have that idea of I want to accomplish so much. I do have a fear of missing out. I suffer from FOMO probably more than anybody else. So I still think that I can be a clown in Cirque du Soleil when I'm 65. So maybe my career as an actress will allow me the skills to develop so that I can be a clown in Cirque du Soleil, because there's no age discriminating, I don't think anyways, from being a clown. Another thing you can do is, once you pick that one thing you really want to do and focus on it and put 100%, maybe that's when you can slowly sort of build up skills to work on your secondary things. So you do have to remember that all of this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. It's going to take quite a bit of time to slowly, every single day, you should be working towards your goal. Every single day, you need to be trying new things, putting effort into it to get to your final destination. And those secondary hobbies, I think, is going to be even longer of a marathon. Let's say 2 marathons, whatever kilometers that is. I think that should be the end goal for those secondary hobbies and skills. What I think is super, super important is I think you should write it down, because think of like something as simple as a bucket list. You're like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to go there. I've always wanted to do it, but you don't actually do it because you forget about it. And I guess the new word of the day is prioritize. You prioritize other things. So what I do is I have a long time goal written down. Well, it's like a whole little bucket list. We'll call it a bucket list. And then I have one for every week. I want to accomplish this, 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 and this. And then I actually take it a little bit further, and I have a daily list of goals I want to accomplish that's going to reach that final goal at the end. And I believe that if you work on these little goals over time, that you will eventually accomplish your goal because you are focused. You're welcome, everybody. That is focused. And of course, I do have to do the most exciting favorite part of my podcast here is our moment of positivity. All right, so for our moment of positivity, I actually went on the internet and I got a couple quotes. Let's see, I can't decide which one I want to do first. All right, so the first one is going to be by the one and only Steve Jobs. He says, focus and simplicity. Once you get there, you can move mountains. Yes. And I guess that's kind of what I was saying earlier, is that once you focus your energy on that one main thing and you become really great at it, from there, you can use that as sort of a platform and a way to move mountains to do other things. So thank you, Steve Jobs, for that one. And then my second quote here, which I really, really like. This is a German proverb. It says, he who chases 2 rabbits at once will catch none. Well, thank you, German proverb. I wish I would have heard from you a long time ago. You got to focus on one thing. Or if you think that you're super, super talented and you can do both, you're like, goodness, what's that baseball player? Michael Jordan, and you can be a professional athlete and you can do all these things, then go for it. All I'm saying for me is I was spreading myself way too thin and I wasn't really putting 150% of effort into my actual goal. I was doing way too many things at once and I caught no rabbits. Okay, that's all I'm saying. So I hope you guys may have learned something. Otherwise, just had a good story from me. And I do want to say a quick thank you for listening. If you guys are just listening, you want to check me out on the YouTube, you can find me Caslin Rose, as well as on Instagram. I made it very simple. All you gotta do is type in my name and you can find me everywhere. That's Caslin Rose, Caslin Rose, Rose. Shout out to my producer who is helping me with all of these podcasts. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Feel free to reach out with any comments, questions, or suggestions. Make sure it is nice and positive because that is the only thing I am interested in. And I will catch you next time. Cool. Hopefully I got all of the things I wanted to talk about in this podcast. And I feel pretty successful about that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to thumbs up and subscribe.